Hey everyone, Amia here from Resonance Astrology and welcome to my channel. Today we are taking again a look at the astrology of the week ahead from June 23rd till June 29th, 2025. And usually what we do here on this channel is I share some brief reflections of what we have gone through from past weeks, some personal stories and anecdotes, and that is then usually followed by talking about the astrology of the upcoming week, this week, this upcoming week, so to say. So this is what we do here, and we do this every week, and I have been pretty consistent with it. So if it's something that you enjoy listening to, if you want to have like weekly updates, just to kind of get in tune with what the energies are, because for me it is sort of a energy update forecast. Like when we're looking at the astrology, we are tapping into archetypes. We are tapping into a sort of field of what potential things, themes might be coming up in the collective, also in our personal lives. But again, we all have a birth chart, which then make things a bit more complicated, because depending on how our birth chart looks and where we have certain placements, these transits might activate different parts of our charts. But there's definitely something that we can always tap into, the collective theme. And it is somewhat of a forecast, like it is a weather forecast, an astrological weather forecast, so to say. And for me, honestly, this week, it's Monday right now, it has been started off very mentally turbulent for me, like lots of overstimulation and scattered focus. And there was even a surprise storm. I mean, they were talking about potentially rain coming today, but then the fact that it was so much wind, unexpected, like it was sunny, and then 30 minutes later the sky is getting darker and there's really volatile wind. And I have a balcony garden on our balcony and I have plants there, and I obviously closed the windows. I didn't have enough time to shield anything, so I'm just looking from inside how my tomato plants are getting just pretty much knocked off from the wind. Not a pleasant thing to see, especially when I was the one that grew them from seedlings. But luckily, they're okay. One had a bit of a harsher, nick. I think that's what you say it. But yeah, if you put it straight up, tomato plants are quite resilient. If you put it straight up, it can actually kind of fix this small broken part here. Like it didn't fully split in half. And even that happened to me last year, and after a while it still started growing. So there's nothing essentially completely wrong with that, but it was just the fact that there was volatile, unexpected wind all of a sudden just reminded me, or made me feel like, ooh, that's probably how Uranus and Gemini is gonna feel like. Because Uranus symbolizes a lot of unexpected notion, and then it's in Gemini, which is an mutable air sign. So it feels like a very volatile wind. And I'm like, oh, I feel like that might be how Uranus and Gemini feels like. And even today, I completely forgot, but the moon entered Gemini. So I'm like, oh, that's probably also why I have been feeling mentally turbulent and scattered. Even as an astrologer, I know the transit, but it passed on me that it's already today that the moon moved into the sign of Gemini. So this is what I have been going through and feeling right now today. Was a bit overwhelmed with having to do all of this, and then kind of writing a bit of a script for today's video. So, but then I felt like it was just fitting, because to me, astrology is expressed through our real life stories and things that are happening. And this literally happened right now. So it just feels very fitting for the moon in Gemini, and then also giving us a bit of a taste in how Uranus and Gemini is probably kind of going to feel like. I feel like a lot of us are not prepared how much is gonna knock us off our feet. I mean, things have already been quite tense. It's interesting how when we say there's tension in the air, we don't say there's tension in the earth, we don't say there's tension in the fire, there's tension in the air. So there's something about the element of air which feels like the tension is felt in that realm, in that element specifically. I'm also not surprised with all the... We've just also, again, I think I talked about this last week as well, but coming off of the looking through the decans of Gemini, all of them are represented by tarot cards that aren't the most pleasant tarot cards. There's a lot of mental overstimulation going on, the wind carrying us in many different directions. And so Uranus in Gemini is definitely bringing lots more mental instability, mental fogginess, mental, you can't really say unclarity, but just the opposite of clarity. Confusion, I guess, confusion. So how do you think? Tension literally is up in the air, and it's happening soon. You know, I feel like there's, even today with the storm, before it came, you can feel the tension in the air, right? And sometimes we also even call it the quiet before the storm, when things are like eerily quiet and you're like, something is about to happen. And I think this is what we are feeling right now on a collective level. Even though things have already kind of started speeding up, I don't want to go into any specific political topics right now, but the quiet of the storm seems very fitting for how things are developing right now, because once the storm hits, it's just like chaotic. But before that, it's like eerily quiet, and you just feel, or you see, how the sky is getting darker, the clouds are getting darker, something is coming, and then it's usually the first wind, the first volatile wind that hits. And it's even like there was also rain, right? And so the wind made the rain so much stronger and more volatile as well. Because otherwise the rain doesn't even come that close to the balcony. But right now it hit to the windows. Like the rain doesn't usually come that far. So what happens if air amplifies water? Interesting thought here to think about, especially considering this week is not even that air heavy. This week is actually much more fire and water heavy. Mixing up the elements in my head. Fire and water heavy, because there's loads of stuff going on in Cancer and in Aries, but there is still a bit of energy, like that airy energy in the air. And there are still, you know, Venus is also soon, like next week, gonna enter into the sign of Gemini, and then we have so there's things are, again, quiet before the storm. But let's stop rambling here right now, otherwise I'm just gonna talk way too much about this. This is for today. The reflections that I have from last week carrying into this week are, first of all, I was at Art Basel on last Thursday, and if you're following me on Instagram, I actually posted a fun little thing that I like to do, because this is how I like to learn astrology or train my archetypal lens and all of that, is when I go to art galleries. I really enjoy going to art galleries. I'm not like the biggest art nerd ever, but I do enjoy going to art shows. And so there's lots of artworks there, obviously. And so for me, when I look at them, I'm always like, what like planet or what house or what planet in a specific sign does this remind me of? Or maybe there's multiple. And so I put some of these photos on my Instagram story and asked people, like, what do you think this resembles more? And there isn't a right or wrong answer. Like, archetypes are archetypes, and certain people are going to agree that something feels more like this, and some are going to say it feels more like that. So there is no, like, right or wrong answer. But, yeah, I thought it's interesting. I really, really like art shows for that. And so one reason to follow me on Instagram if you want to play these fun games. You know, it's my Gemini, my moon in Gemini. I like doing these things. So, yeah, the story isn't up there anymore, but I will make a highlight so you could potentially, if you want to, look through that. And I'm not sure if Instagram has the function of participating in polls. I don't think so, because it's finished now. It's been over 24 hours, so it ended. But I think you can still see the results of what people voted. So even then, it's interesting to look at that. And while I was at Art Basel, it was on Thursday. That was the day when the moon entered the sign of Aries and conjoined Saturn and Neptune. And then Jupiter in Cancer was also squaring Neptune on that day. So it felt like a lot of like emotional abstraction this year at Art Basel, and this overwhelming beauty. And there was like this one quote that I took a picture of, which said, "Come hell or high water." And I was like, that is so either Neptune or Saturn in Aries and Jupiter in Cancer. I was like, that exemplifies it perfectly. So that what was going on there. And then on this Saturday, on June 20th, we had the summer solstice. So the sun moving into the sign of Cancer. And also actually on that day, the moon was also in Taurus. So this is something that, as far as I understood, happens quite rarely, because the moon is in an exalted position in the sign of Taurus. I feel it's very auspicious that we have the summer solstice starting off, the sun ruled by a moon that is in its exaltation, and also Jupiter in its exaltation. So this is a bit of a rare timing. Like, I think it happens every like 100 or 200 years or something. Don't 100% take my word on it. I'm not like 100% sure, but I know it's something that does not happen every year. So I do think it's a beautiful synchronicity that this has happened. And what also happened in my personal life, again, I did not plan this, and this is why I love astrology, or just the weird synchronicities of life. So I've been wanting to get a few cover-up tattoos for a while. Oof, there's a fly here, an annoying fly. Hope it's not going to annoy me any further, but it's been a while since I wanted to get a few cover-up tattoos. Again, I got my tattoos when I was 21, so I did wait. I didn't immediately do them when I was 18. I was smart enough for that to know that I'm a person that changes my opinion. Nowadays, I think maybe you should wait until your Saturn return after that to get your first tattoo, to be completely honest. Just because so many things change. I didn't think I would change so drastically during the years of like 24, 25, 26. So if I didn't have any tattoos, I honestly wouldn't even get any. Wouldn't even start to begin with. But facts are now, I have my tattoos. Here's one right now. I'm not going to cover this one up. I still like looking at it. But if I wouldn't have gotten it, I wouldn't even have started right now. And I have a few ones on my legs, which I'm not going to show right now. It's probably a bit awkward to do that. Also something I posted on my story. That's something that is easier if you follow me on Instagram. Like, doing these stories and doing these quick updates are just easier to do on Instagram. And so I have over my left knee, that's the only thing I did more spontaneously. I have written Ghost Girl, and this is for like multiple reasons. It's also a Lil Peep song. I really was a big fan of Lil Peep at that time. And it was after his passing and all of that, which was something that was extremely sad for me back in the day, because it happened one day before my like in the night, right? Because he died on November 15th. My birthday is November 16th. And so that year that he died, which I believe was 2017, yes, damn, that's so long ago now, is like I woke up to the news and it really crushed me. And there was like something in me, I wanted to have like an ode to him or something like that, because a lot of his songs brought me through some hard times, and I really liked that song. And there was like this thing in school that once happened that I had a larger period when I was in school where I sometimes showed up, sometimes didn't show up. And so like I was just sometimes there, sometimes not. And then one time I was there, and this girl made a comment. She was basically like, oh, I didn't even, like, I never notice if you're here or not, which is actually a very painful thing to say to someone. And there's not a lot of things that I remember, but this is something I distinctly remember. I tried to kind of make fun of it by getting the ghost girl tattoo, but secretly saying that really hurts me. We never know what we do with our words, right? And, you know, this week we have Mercury in Cancer squaring Chiron in Aries, and this story fits perfectly there. But like she probably just said that in like, oh yeah, like I don't even see if you're here or not. But to me, it just meant like, wow, it doesn't matter if I'm here or not. Like if my presence isn't even felt, like it doesn't even matter if I'm here or not. And so I kind of tried to run with this like ghost girl thing. But I think there's something in me, and that's probably because I have the sun right on my ascendant, that does crave visibility in some sort of extent. Again, it's in Scorpio. Like I'm not going to be the most comfortable person when it comes to being seen or being visible. But I do think it's something that, yeah, it's almost like that really crushed it for me. And ever since then, it has been really a reclamation of being comfortable again. Because again, I was a theater kid. I used to play the main roles. I had no issue whatsoever to be in the limelight at all when I was a kid. And yeah, it's like I kind of want to go back there. I want to have that confidence that I had back then. Regardless, around 2022, the moth symbolism became very prevalent in my life, and it happened around the like omen days, which are around like Christmas time. They happen around 24th, 25th of December and last until like 5th, 6th of January. And it's like a time outside of time, and it's 12 days. And it's also called the 12 days of Christmas. In German, we call it Rauhnächte. And these 12 days or nights represent a month of each of the following years. And so, and even besides that, it's just a time filled with a lot of omens and symbolism coming up. And so this literally happened during that time. And then the moth, and like this quote, moth to the flame, became something extremely relevant for me in this year of 2022. And that's when I started thinking of maybe that's what I should cover it up with, because getting it lasered wasn't option for me. I'm like, either I laser every single one of my tattoos, and that's gonna be painful and costly and very timely, because I don't have my whole body tatted up, but I have a few bigger pieces on my legs. And so I was like, okay, the ones that don't resonate with me so much, let's just cover them up with something more beautiful. And so the moth for me symbolizes this creature of the night. It's the queen of the night. It's like the opposite of a butterfly, which is more considered, not considered, more, just more, people associate it more with daytime. And then the moths are associated with the nighttime. So it's a creature that is comfortable in the darkness, and yet it still is heading towards the light, something bright. And for me, I feel like that just perfectly symbolizes my sun in Scorpio conjunct my ascendant in Scorpio, like a creature of the night, but that still is heading towards the sun. So there's still like privacy that is involved here, and yet there is still also like a comfort in heading towards the light and visibility. And again, I know that moths get burned by that, so like I'm quite aware of that, but that's also always a reminder for me to be a bit more careful of, yeah, like it's good to be seen, but like be humble about it, you know, like why do you want to be seen? Like just something for me to think about. And actually, let me see now if I can show you the Moffat too. If I stand up, woo, it's right here. Yeah, you can't see that well, but yeah, still healing. Obviously, I just got it this. Sorry, it's so funny. I never stood up. Also, by the way, I'm a very small person. I'm like only 161 centimeters, which is 5'3" in America or something like that. Anyhow, I think it's very also symbolic. I didn't specifically plan that to happen on the summer solstice, but it did. It somehow just aligned to happen on that date. And again, also super symbolic for me. Yes, we are starting off Cancer season. It is officially summer. At the same time, from a symbolic level, we are entering the dark of the light part of the year. So while the summer season is starting, actually the days are now officially getting shorter and shorter again. So Cancer symbolizes a lot of that like inward moving energy, which is what... Gosh, sorry, this thing... looks stupid and I only realize it now. Anyhow, Cancer really symbolizes that going inwards notion. So yeah, I love it. You know, I have nothing against electional astrology. I think it's pretty cool and useful. At the same time, I believe if you're a spiritually acclimated person, like aligned person, things you still just end up doing things when you have to do them. That's why personally I don't really use electional astrology all, because I am a firm believer, and it might be my optimistic Mercury and Sag, is that I will be at the right place at the right time for the right things to happen for me right now. So yeah, and see, I didn't it just happened. Like I didn't plan that date, it just happened to be there. And I think I love it. Like I really think it was great for it to happen that day. It's been such a long while since I got a tattoo, and again there's a few more things that are gonna happen on my body and they're gonna be so much more aligned. But yes, okay guys, sorry, I just had a bit of a confusion myself because I believed I wrote my notes wrong, but I actually did not write my notes wrong, so sorry for that. In any case, we are coming off from Sun squaring Saturn on Sunday, and today on Monday we had the Sun squaring Neptune. So this is kind of what we're starting this week off with. And again, Moon also in Gemini. So yeah, there is a bit of a disorientation and loss of clarity that is going on here. Imagine the Sun square Neptune as if you are watching through a window where the sun is shining, but the window is just not washed clearly. So the vision is distorted. You see the sun, but you don't see the sun fully clearly. There's a loss of clarity going on. And especially also with Moon in Gemini, it feels like a loss of clarity, and then there's way too many things that we want to do. Also, Mars is still in Virgo, let's not forget that. So don't be discouraged if this week has started for you, just as it has started for me, literally, just being a bit disorientating. So yeah, and then... yeah. Gosh, see, sorry, I'm this is, again, I feel like this is literally today. It's foggy clarity. And there's just a bit of disillusion or illusion going on. Not seeing things fully clearly for what they are. Also not, being able to sense your emotions maybe fully clearly. So, yeah, but there is actually there is kind of a mutual reception going on with the Moon in Gemini and the Mercury in Cancer, because both of them are in each other's ruling signs. So there is something that can happen. It's a good day to definitely slow down. Don't speed up today, slow down, and try to feel or think your way forward. But yeah, it has to be a mix, okay? It has to be a bit of a grounded mix. And maybe just let it happen. maybe just let this first day be a bit chaotic. And then on Tuesday, June 25th, we have again Mercury square Chiron. This is kind of like, think back to the example that I just made before. Words hurt. Words carry energy. Words carry emotional energy when we speak them out loud. This is why, affirmations can be powerful, but only if you feel the words that you are speaking. Why surrender is so powerful when you feel the surrender. Things become very powerful once you feel them, but that also means that everything that I'm saying right now carries some sort of energetic frequency that I'm saying it right now. And depending on how I'm saying things, it's going to land different in different people. And again, using that example that I had before, that girl that said that to me probably didn't mean it that way, but it landed very deeply inside of me, and something that I'm like carrying with me for a long time still. So think about words. Chiron is in a Mars ruled sign. Words can cut deeply. So be aware of how what you are speaking can bring up your wounds or create other wounds. At the same time, can also heal wounds. That's why words are also so healing. Have you ever cried because somebody said something a certain way, or a music piece just hit in a certain way? That's Mercury square Chiron as well. It kind of goes in both ways. What we also have on Tuesday, which I think personally is a bit of the bigger event that's going on, is Sun conjoining Jupiter. We have a Sun Jupiter Cazimi, which is a rebirth moment for Jupiter. When the sun comes together with a planet, it's like a rebirthing moment. And this is amplified by the fact that on Wednesday, we have the new moon in Cancer as well. So, and that new moon in Cancer is like... basically, the moon moves into Cancer. It is squaring Saturn and Neptune, and then it's very much close to that degree of Sun conjoining Jupiter. So this is all kind of, I feel like you can almost pack Tuesday and Wednesday into one big day, because it is very much linked to one another. That Sun conjunct Jupiter is very much linked to how the new moon is also going to come along. And for me, it really feels like there's a rebirth of our inner nurture that is kind of happening here, and a beautiful moment to realign with our emotional abundance. And maybe what does it mean? What does emotional safety mean for us? What is the vision that I have for the future when it comes to my home, my family? Family can also be chosen family, but there's still values, right? And what place do I want to live? What do I call home? What does home constitute? What does coming home in a place that is safe and abundant and somewhere where I can expand myself? What does that actually look like? Because the sun is about our long-term vision, where we want to head towards, and Jupiter in Cancer is about birthing that idea and expanding it. So it's a beautiful moment to really align and anchor into that. And if you are into manifestation, I guess I could say, a beautiful day to probably create some sort of vision board. For me, I really like vision boards. I also like manifestation, but I feel like there's lots of weird stuff out there when it comes to the realm of manifestation and self-help gurus and all of that. For me, when I do manifestation, there's always a hidden devotion behind it. I never attach myself to it that it has to happen this exact way, because there is a trust in a higher power. And this is what we need, especially with Sun Jupiter in Cancer as well too, okay? Jupiter is a planet of faith. Faith is something very intangible. And so truly being devoted is, yes, you're allowed to have wishes, you're allowed to have desires. Actually, your wishes and desires give you insight into things that you want, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's actually a lot of unshaming oftentimes that we need to do when it comes to our wants and needs, which might also be something that is prevalent right now and up in the air with that new moon. But there's also detachment that we have to have here, because sometimes maybe what I want might not be what I need actually right now in life. Or maybe, and this is what I say with Jupiter so often, because Jupiter is about expansion and growing pains. Maybe what you want is good and great, but when it comes to, can you handle it? Can you actually hold it? Maybe you want to be a famous artist that has an art exhibition in New York. Can you handle having your art exposed, with around multiple people, thousands of people coming there? Can you hold that? Can you hold all of a sudden people buying your art for 1 million? Can you, or is your nervous system going to be overwhelmed? So there's nothing wrong with your needs and desires. It's just that sometimes when that happens is Jupiter is going to come and expand, and that's going to be uncomfortable. That's why it's called growing pains, because it forces you to outgrow something that is no longer useful to you. And so for me, when I do my vision boards or whatever, there's always like this thought that I have in the background where I'm like, I do not know what is the best for me, but I believe there is a power that knows what is my highest and greatest good. Like, this is what I want right now, but I'm completely open to surrender to whatever is best at the end of the day. And even just like getting into that vision, I feel like does a lot. And then obviously hanging it somewhere where you can see it. But I honestly, it's hard for me to say it because I've never been a person that like woke up and was like, I need that. Like, I need that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's never how I personally did vision boards. For me, most of the time, it's really just about engaging in the creative process and creating something and getting into like honoring the planets. So for me, I actually might also sit down at the Sun Jupiter Cazimi moment and just do something to honor the Sun and Jupiter and create a beautiful altar. So yeah, and it's probably something that, again, I'm going to post on my Instagram. So do consider also following me on there, because I post a lot of more private tidbits. And yeah, actually, now that I'm saying and speaking all of this, I'm just like having a question mark here. Like, would you guys like something like that? Would you like a post for me to constitute and tell you what sort of ritual you might do on this moment or this new moon? Let me know, because I'm definitely up to creating a post to give you a bit more guidance on how you could maybe sit down that day and invoke Sun Jupiter and the new moon in Cancer in your life and honor these planets, because for me, astrology is so much about honoring the planets. Again, so this is happening on Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, Wednesday is the actual new moon. There's, the themes are so much about like emotional renewal and letting water carry what fire can't burn. I'm riffing here off of the fact that, again, the Cancer moon is coming off from squaring Saturn and Neptune. And what happens, like, how do we distinguish fire? It's by putting water on it. So water can take the upper hand when it comes to the elements in terms of like fire. Obviously fire is super powerful, but water can sometimes be even more powerful in that sense. And I'm like not trying to downplay fire elements here at all, okay? All the love for fire. So yes, definitely a new beginning that is blooming here. And then on Thursday, June 27th, we have Mercury sextile Uranus, Sun sextiling Mars, Venus sextiling the North Node. A lot of these sextiles, it's a bit of a flowy, subtle, low friction type of energy. So that day, I think, is a good day to just reflect on how your nervous system is kind of adjusting to that new rhythm that is going on right now, because we're all adjusting. We're all still adjusting with Saturn in Aries. We're all still adjusting with Jupiter in Cancer. We are heading towards Uranus moving in Gemini, the final and last planet heading into a new realm. And so it's a good day for like experimentation and grounding and just to like see like what is planned. Like, it's definitely also a day where you could potentially do this vision board. I feel like both Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are all three good days to like sit down, ground yourself, and like get out your creative spirit. I think most of us, I would say, when we were children, we were very creative, or at least had the creative urge. And for me, doing this vision boards is always kind of an ode to honoring my inner child as well here. Honoring my inner child and the planets. Can't go wrong with that. Then on Friday, June 28th, we have Mercury entering Leo. Yay! I like that. It's giving us a louder voice to speak up, to be more confident, to be more bold, and to, be courageous. All of the fire signs have a bit of that courage, but I do think Leo has it the most, because courage, I think, has a lot to do with coming from the heart. I just always have that burning heart symbolism. But yeah, now I don't know. It's hard to put it just on one fire sign, because all of them have courage written on them in a different sort of way. I feel like Leo just is that quiet confidence, like the sun that just radiates and shines in you every day. Just, we don't even notice it. We take it for granted that the sun shines and is birthed in you, so to say, every day. And it's just there if we notice it or not. That's the quiet confidence of Leo. And that courage of Leo, of just being there, staying consistent, staying fixed. It's a fixed fire sign, right? So, yes. And then also the moon moves into Leo. So immediately we have a moon Mercury conjunction in the sign of Leo. I think this is a flash of clarity, of artistic expression and emotional boldness. And this is also reflecting back to Mars that is in Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, which is now in Leo. So it's influencing that Mars that is in Virgo. So maybe look at which houses Leo and Virgo rule in your charts. They're going to be right next to each other. So yes, this is what we have for Friday, and then we're heading into the weekend. Saturday we have Mercury trining Saturn and Neptune. All the slower moving planets are at the beginning degrees of the signs, so every time the faster moving planets get into new signs, if they form an aspect, they're going to immediately form an aspect to them. And so Mercury is going to form an immediate trine towards Saturn and Neptune. Again, I think perfectly for communicating or realizing our dreams, and hopes, with a bit of realism, because that's Saturn here as well. Also good time, because don't forget the moon is still in Leo here as well. And actually on Saturday, the moon in Leo officially turned into a waxing crescent moon. So it's there's a bit of more emotional maturity that is going on, or that can be expected, or a spiritual discipline. Gosh, this fly is annoying. Get the hell away from my microphone. So, yes, emotional maturity with spiritual discipline, which is great. It just feels I honestly like this week. We have this beautiful, fresh new beginning, and then I feel with Mercury and Leo, it kind of sets us off to be okay, I made that vision board, I had this rebirthing moment, now let's go and do it and realize it. And it's giving us this courage, this boost of courage to actually go after it. So I really like that. And then on Sunday, June 30th, that same Mercury opposes Pluto, which, brings in a bit more intensity. Could be a day where there's more intense conversations happening, maybe some inner power struggles. Pluto tends to often bring in power struggles. And then later on that day, also the moon enters Virgo. And then this is technically happening on Monday, but it's early Monday, which means that for a lot of people in other time zones, it's still also happening on Sunday. Is that obviously moon entering Virgo is going to conjoin Mars in Virgo as well. And then after Mercury opposes Pluto one day later, it also enters its pre-shadow period. So we're officially entering a new pre-shadow period of Mercury. That means Mercury is gonna, sooner than later, station retrograde again, and it's gonna go over that same degrees. What I like though is that it's happening after the Pluto opposition, because this means that it's not gonna do the same thing with Pluto again, okay? Sometimes when things happen, like if Mercury would enter pre-shadow period before that, we would get 3 Mercury-Pluto oppositions, but now it's happening after that. So whatever happens during that Mercury opposition with Pluto, we don't have to revisit it, okay? So that's what I like. You know, think back to Mars retrograde, where we had 3 Mars-Pluto oppositions, okay? We're not getting that with Mercury right now, which, yes, thank you. I don't need that again. So, whatever like intensity bubbles up and things maybe come to surface, especially around themes of like visibility and how do I want to how do I want to be seen? How do I want to be perceived? Why do I want to be perceived? Why does my voice matter or don't matter? It's like, it's just for Sunday. And then there's a different story happening during the retrograde period. But that's going to happen later on. That's going to be like sometime in July. So yes, this is kind of how we are closing off the weekend and this whole week with. And yeah, for me, this week really feels like walking into the unknown with a sense of emotional armor. Like softened emotional armor, but still present. And I don't know, this feeling of like, I don't know exactly what I'm building yet, but I know the foundation is kind of shifting, especially our emotional foundation and base, especially the base of what consists safety. Okay, there's a reason why Cancer is associated with the shell and having a shell and having that protection. So what do we need? Okay, and when are boundaries helpful and useful to keep us safe and shielded, and when do boundaries become walls where we're not letting in anything and anyone, and actually doing more self-harm than good? Because that's not, shutting yourself off from the world is just you isolating yourself. It's not actually building any sort of safe. It's actually just perpetuating that feeling of that you're not safe in this world. Talking from freaking personal experience here, and something that I often struggle with. So yeah, there is a foundational shift going on this week. And yes, I'm just curious, like, what part of this week feels most alive for you? What are you looking forward to? What do you feel pulled to start this week? Let me know down in the comments. And also let me know, just, do you want some sort of like small ritual or something in written form that I can put up for that new moon in Cancer coinciding with Jupiter Sun coming together in a Cazimi? Please let me know of that. I will gladly assist you. And yes, I will say I haven't been slacking off, because there's things I'm working on, but it's usually always like that. If I'm getting quieter, there's things I am working on. Because I think the past weeks I've just released the weekly update, no additional videos, so excuse me for that, but there are things lined up and coming. We should film the Decans of Cancer this week, so look forward to that. I do want to put it up this week so you can learn more a bit about Cancer. I think, very important right now with all of that Cancer energy. So that should definitely be coming up this week. I do also want to make Uranus in Gemini horoscopes. So let's see what happens there. And yeah, I'm still working on a lot of that. Depending on how long you've been on the channel, but maybe you've heard me briefly say that. I'm like on and off working on like an article, a presentation that I want to talk about like Gen Z and the specific astrological transits and placements that we have in our charts, how it's impacted by the transits right now. It's actually something I would really like to be able to present at maybe some like an online conference or something. So I'm not quite sure yet how I would want to do the YouTube video for that. But that is something I have been working on. And also some more fun videos. There's, you know, the thing is, I just don't freaking know how to edit that, to be completely honest. Like, I know basic editing. I don't know, like, any sort of good editing like that. There's lots of, like, anime essays I would love to do when it comes to archetypes, because for me, I just love astrological archetypes. That's how I learn astrology. And I feel like that's how I can also help other people see astrology, because it's a lens you go through the world through. So there's definitely a kind of fun video that I want to make with a colleague friend of mine from the astro world, because I made a post about One Piece, and I just feel like One Piece has so many amazing planetary archetypes involved in there. And so I would really like, it's a more of a fun video, you know, but I feel like through that we learn so much. And for a lot of people, it's a gateway to start learning astrology in a deeper way. And, you know, I could totally sit here and get on my soapbox opera about how I'm so annoyed about pop astrology, and I honestly am. I'm annoyed constantly how people with like low effort quality, like reels that give basic ass information, get so much more views and engagement, and like so much fear mongering that gets people engaged. And I'm like, that's not the root of astrology, that's not the purpose of astrology. At the same time, I also always have to look back at my life, and while it is true that I first learned astrology through school, I got back to it much more with astrology memes on Instagram. That's just how I got more into it. And that then led me to studying astrology more deeply eventually. So I can't fully hate on it, because it did help me to get into a deeper layer of it. So I do also want to make fun videos. Honestly, also to just like nurture my own inner child about things that I like to talk about. I don't really watch so much anime. I practically don't watch any anime nowadays, actually. I'm just like kind of keeping up with One Piece, because like I've been watching it for years. And it's running, so I'm gonna finish it. If I start something, I'm gonna finish it. If you watch One Piece, you know what I'm talking about. So, but I haven't started a new anime in years. Like, I've only finished watching things that came out later on. So that's about it. What I'm actually currently watching, I'm actually not a person, I don't really watch so many shows. I usually spend more time on YouTube, maybe listening to podcasts or things like that, or video essays. That's what I tend to enjoy more. But what I'm currently watching is Street Woman Fighter. Doesn't that also feel like water and fire energy a bit? It's a third season. It's a show from Korea. If you know, you know. It's international this time. There's teams from many different countries, and it's a dancing competition at the end of the day. And I really like that it's like, I really like how it's uplifting females. And there's just something to me that when I see people dancing, it makes me emotional. And I think what makes me emotional is that seeing people in their element, in their fire, in their, like, giving their all. There's just something so beautiful and mesmerizing when you see someone being in their arts and crafts, like fully owning it, like knowing they just like did something amazing. I love seeing that so much, and like just the effort that gets into that. Yeah, I guess that's what I enjoy about art in general. I know there's lots of art there, but I think for me, that is just such a beautiful form of self-expression. Like dancing is such a beautiful form of self-expression. I don't think I would ever come close to that. I constantly say for years that I want to start taking dance classes, but end up not really doing it, sadly. Oh, hold me accountable, comment section. But yeah, I still like really watching these dance shows. That's like the only sort of, it's not even really reality TV, but I guess to some degree it is, I don't know, like a reality competition series. So yes, I think also that, yeah, this is this week. The final season of Squid Game is coming out. I have watched that. That is one of the shows I watched. Just because, I don't know, there's so many interesting things about Squid Game, in my opinion. But there's like a video for another time. And it's funny that I watched a lot of video essays on season 1, and then when season 2 came out, I watched season 2 without actually having watched season 1, only having watched essays on the season 1, which then made me actually, after I watched season 2, I started watching season 1 to be like, okay, let me actually like feel it inside of me. And it's funny because I haven't even watched the last 3 episodes of season 1 still. And I don't think I'll do it. I think I'll just watch season 3 when it comes out this Friday or Saturday, I believe. But yeah, I am excited for that. I like honestly, I like the creepy notion of brutal kids games. Wouldn't be able to tell you why. There's loads of things that I think is like, you know, when I hear, because my mom works as she works with small kids, let's just put it that way. She works in a school, and some of them have watched Squid Game, and I'm like, what? That's crazy to me. Even though, like, I can't say anything because I've watched Quentin Tarantino movies the first time when I was probably like 12 or 13. It's like, I'm not trying to hate here, and I don't think it's I don't know, gosh, that's like, maybe I should stop this video right now but it is a bit in the air. I feel like because, you know, fire and water have like this, it's like emotional fire, right? And I feel like these things carry a lot of emotional fire inside of them. So there's something in the air right now with like stamina. Where am I directing my emotions? Am I using them for fuel to create things, or am I using it to just be angry and lash out? And yeah, what does all of this mean? I think Squid Game, the first part, or that season 2 came out when Mars was retrograding. Was it already retrograding? But it was in Cancer, definitely. And you know, Cancer can be a very tribal sign, a very, you know, my tribe, my home, you F with my family, I will F with your family. And I feel like that's a lot of what you can see in these like games. I know we're all like, it's obviously like we never know how we will actually react in this type of situations, but I think that's what makes it interesting. I think that's what a lot of people like when they watch these things. What I personally also like is because you can kind of put yourself in the shoes and be like, well, what would I do if I would have been put in that situation, without actually having to be put in that situation. I think at the core, we humans are much more loving and supporting than all of these things make us believe that they are. But just like the thought experiment, and it's also like a tribal experiment because sometimes it's, and I know like one game in this new season is going to be like teams, right? It's going to be a team against another team. So that also feels very Cancerian, right? But yeah, it almost feels like there should be a separate video essay just about that. And gosh, now I've been talking over 50 minutes. This is maybe one of the longest weekly overviews I've done in a while, but I don't know, when I start talking about things, I cannot stop. And yeah, I would discredit myself if I would do it any sort of different way. And I feel like there is just a lot going on this week with the world, with everything. And honestly, I could probably sit here talk even longer about Squid Game and everything coming up. So yeah, but I'm gonna stop it for now. I told you everything I need to say. I'm gonna do the boring part right now again, which is just ask you to, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, as it helps this channel to grow and also push out this video to other people. That's just how it works. And if you enjoyed it, maybe you know somebody else that might enjoy it, send it to them, send it along their way. And yeah, commenting is also mwah! I love it. I love it. I love reading the comments. And as I already mentioned also before, there's lots of cool tidbits I post on Instagram, so it is worth following me on there. And yeah, that's what I have for you guys this week. I'm wishing you a lovely week ahead, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!